Tennessee versus Florida. And what I thought, was one of the better games of the weekend that's not getting the national attention that it deserves. But Tennessee in overtime beats Florida 23-17. Nico Iamaleava goes 16 of 26 for 169 yards and an interception. Dylan Sampson, 27 carries, 112 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So let's start with the winner here. Let's start with Tennessee. Tennessee's defensive front and their front seven is borderline elite. Now, if you've never watched any of my content, or if this is your first time watching the channel, I don't like throwing out the word elite. I think it's too easy. I think we do it ad nauseum. But I could make an argument here that the front seven of Tennessee has been borderline elite. I think they're very, very good right now. You know, when I look at Tennessee defensively, they're second in the country in total defense. They're fifth in the country in run defense. They're 19th in the country in pass defense. They're second in the country in third down defense. They have been very good defensively. Mainly it comes from their front seven that wind up winning them the football game. Now, were there crucial situations that Billy Napier fumbled the bag, if you will? Scared money don't make no money. 100%. 1,000%. But that front seven of Tennessee is why they continue to win football games. It's nothing to do with what they're doing offensively outside of running the football with Dylan Sampson. But that front seven, you know, the 4th and inches, the jet sweep on the 4th and inches that you make a stop. Guys, the way that your defense played in crucial situations is what won you the game. Now, did DJ Lagway go down the field late and scored? Yes. But your defense is on the field so much that at some point you're going to give up touchdowns. You're going to give up points. I don't care that it's Florida. I understand that this is a rivalry game. I get all of that. But your front seven, your defense, and a Josh Heupel-led team is the reason that you're going to continue to have success this season. Look, I don't know if your offense is going to be able to find their way this week versus Alabama. That's either here or there. We're going to talk about that this week. But, man, I cannot come away from any Tennessee game that I've watched the last month and not say that front seven's not really good. You know, you get into overtime as an example, and Eason has the tackle for loss on the swing pass that, quite honestly, wins you the football game. Guys, that's an outside edge, DN, outside linebacker, over 265 pounds, making a play on a running back in a screen game. Like, that's what we're discussing here. I don't know if Tennessee's secondary has been tested, you know, to the level of what they're going to get tested down the stretch in these games in the SEC, you know, especially this week versus Bama. And we're going to have to see how they perform and how they look there. Maybe they are as good as the numbers are indicating. But it's crazy. I came into the season, you know, I brought on a lot of people this season. Dan Hooker came on the show, and we talked about this. And I said this to Dan. It's like, Dan, listen, in my humble opinion, your front seven defensively is the best unit that you have. It's not Nico. It's not this passing game. It's not the running game. The best thing that you do is what you have built on the front seven. You got to give Josh Heupel a lot of credit in doing that. I know the offense has had their issues, and we're going to talk about that next. But you got to also give him credit for what he's been able to build on the defensive side of the football. Let's get to offense. Last week on this channel, I published a video that did not go over well from some of my Tennessee friends. Nico Iamaleava is not living up to the standard that I thought that he would have. He's not living up to the standard that I know that Tennessee fans probably thought. And he's not living up to the standard of his ranking and all that stuff. And that doesn't really matter now that games are being played because he's not good right now. Quite simply, he's missing wide open targets. He's forcing balls that he has no business forcing. He's inaccurate. I feel like, and my co-host on our national show, Joe, said this. I don't know if the game's moving too fast for him, or what I think is happening is I don't think he fully understands the offense. And I think that you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole by allowing him and wanting him to sit in the pocket and deliver it all over the place. That's not his game. Guys, that dude is a very athletic human being. I know that you don't want to get him hurt. I know you don't want him taking hits. But at some point, you're going to have to come to, and you're going to have to do it this week, offensively in the pass game, you're going to have to give him 2 reads and get out of there. 2 reads. If this guy's open, throw it. If that guy's open, throw it. Maybe you give him a check down. And if those 3 options aren't available, he's got to tuck the ball and run. He has to. Guys, he's got to go. And I say this, but and people will say, well, Blake, you're a fan of LSU. He's got to Jaden Daniels it. He's athletic enough to do that. I know you don't want him taking hits. I know that you can't get him hurt. But at the same time, you cannot go into a situation preparing for somebody to be hurt when you're trying to win football games in this league. I'm telling you, and the way that I see it, you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. I know Heupel came out in his postgame. I listened to it, and he said that, we're close in many areas, but the running game hasn't been great. That's BS. You're a one-dimensional offense right now. I see Tennessee fans clipping stuff and putting it on social media about Lance Hurd. Are we going to talk about the Dylan Sampson touchdown where Lance Hurd had 2 crucial blocks that led him to a touchdown? This guy's a first-time starter. Like, does he need to get non-lazy in some pass pro situations? Yes. You can't defend that. But the only thing that you can do at high consistency right now is run the football. Now, last week I came out here and said Nico is struggling. He's more than struggling. Because he's more than struggling right now. It's not good. And we'll preview this week against Tennessee versus Alabama. But I got to admit something. Dylan Sampson is winning you football games. This O-line, who took over in the second half versus Florida, is winning you football games. That is the reason that you continue to have success, and it's going to be the reason why you continue to have success. 1,000%. So I look at I look at Nico Iamaleava because he's 8 in the SEC in passing. He's 8 in the SEC in completion percentage. He's 8 in the SEC on third downs. I mean, he's just not in that upper echelon of guys that have been able to make things happen. I don't know what else to say. I don't agree with Heupel that you're a little bit away. You're not. They're going to have to craft offensive things for Nico to run the football. 2 reads and you're out of there. Maybe 3 with the check down. But look, what does it matter to me, or what does it matter to Heupel or anybody? What does it matter to you if you're a Tennessee fan? If you're getting first downs, none of it matters. If you're scoring points, none of this matters. And until the game slows down, 2 reads and he's out of there. It's the only way that you're going to have success. By the way, Florida's secondary is not good at all. Guys, they were 100th in the country in passing yards allowed coming into this game. 100th. You had a secondary that was limping into Knoxville, and you consistently couldn't throw the football. The interception that Nico had was also very bad. And look, I'll say this. I think you should have lost the football game.